our two lessons so far, one on the 30, 60 and 45 and 90 degree angles, and let's also look at how we can describe angles between 0 and 360 or 0 and 2 pi with the reference angles. So here we've got a little diagram, and we've got a triangle here, right angle triangle, and the hypotenuse is 2, and this angle here is 30, so that's done a standard reference of 30. And here, because this is 150, this standard reference is also 30. So what I'm going to do is just think about the length of the two sides. Now, the one thing that I learned from the first lesson is that sine 30 is a half. You can look back and see if you can recall that, but sine 30 is a half. Now, sine 30 is opposite, which I don't know yet here, and hypotenuse, which is 2, that's 2. So that must be 1. So I'm going to make that 1. Now I can use Pythagoras to work out this side here, and that side there is 2 squared. Take away 1 squared, and then square root it, which is 4 take away 1, which is the square root of 3. Now that's great. I can see that sine 30 is a half, cosine 30 is root 3 divided by 2, tan 30 is 1 divided by root 3. But what it tells me is these angles here. So that angle there is 150. Here it is. And I can tell now that sine 150 is going to give me opposite, which is 1 divided by 2, 1 over 2. Well, that's great. That's the same as sine 30. So these two angles, they're the same. What about cosine 150? Now this time, I need to think about my line here, my adjacent. And that adjacent is root 3. But it's not just root 3, it's negative root 3 divided by 2. So cosine 150 is negative root 3 divided by 2. And tan, well, that will be opposite, which is 1, divided by negative root 3. So the cosine and the tans are both negative. The sine is positive. If we move into this quadrant, and that reference angle is 30, so this makes this 1 and this root 3, but makes this actually minus 1 when we consider the sine. So sine 210, opposite is now minus 1, hypotenuse is 2. So sine 210 is a half. So it's the same as sine 30, which is our reference angle, but it's a negative. And I'm just going to do one more. If I look at cosine, actually let's look at tan. Tan, and you can investigate all the others. Tan 210, that's opposite, negative 1, divided by negative root 3. Well, these two negatives cancel out and give me 1 over root 3. So the tan is actually positive. And if we look back, tan 150, that was the same as tan 210. You can investigate some more. Let's have a look at the 60. Now, one thing I know about the 60 degree is that cosine 60 is a half. Again, check back to your first lesson. So this is 1. I'm going to make this root 3. It's the same Pythagoras little calculation I did a minute ago. And I'm just going to look at a couple of angles. So I'm going to look at 120 using the reference angle 60. And I'm going to look at tan 60. And tan 60 is 1 root 3. But this 1 is now a negative. So tan 60 is root 3 divided by negative 1, negative root 3. Let's look at the sine here. So all the way around to 300, going anti-clockwise rather, 300. And I can see here that I've got sine is opposite. Now that line there is the same as that line there, but it's negative root 3 and it's positive 2. And let's just do one more. Let's do cosine 300 as well. Now with cosine 300, we go along 1 and the hypotenuse is 2, so this gives me a half, and they're both positive. And you can investigate exactly how all those are working and which ones are positive and which ones are negative in these 4 different quadrants.